Welcome to our time with children this Sunday in April of 2020. I am Carolyn Mathews, and I celebrated the 50th anniversary of Earth Day on Wednesday, the 22nd. I hope you enjoyed being outside for a bit that day. As you can see, I have lined up a few volunteers for my collection of puppets, decor, and playthings. They are a tiny example of species common to our local mountains, a very few of the millions of God's creatures on this earth. I'm going to use these creatures for a moment or two to talk about water. My beaver puppets are cousins to Reverend Jim's Beauregard, who visits our sanctuary occasionally. Beaver live year-round in and around water. Locally, there are beaver in Rocky Gap Lake and in the C&O Canal. Take a walk on the Lakeside Loop Trail or east on the canal from North Branch access, and you will see evidence of beavers at work. If the water is polluted in some manner, then the beaver will move themselves to cleaner waters. The bird sculpture is a woodcock, a bird common to areas with soft soil and dense with young trees. They are rarely seen, but they migrate into this area in early spring and spend the summer in damp woods. They use their long, pointed bill to probe the soil for earthworms. If wetlands are drained or something causes the water source to dry up, the earthworms vanish and these birds move to more suitable habitat. The frog. We all learn the life cycle of a frog early in our school years. The shape change that the frog goes through to become an adult is complete metamorphosis. Eggs are laid in water by the female frog, fertilized by the male, and left to hatch on their own. A tadpole emerges from the egg, which then lives in the water eating and growing for weeks while sprouting legs. Its tail, necessary to swim through the water, shrinks during the months in the pond. The complete change in appearance from birth to adult form, the hopping amphibian, is metamorphosis. But this life cycle can only happen in water, unpolluted water. My tomato plant is looking great. It'll be put out in my garden next month. The seed needed water to sprout, the seedling needs water to grow, and the fruits, the tomatoes to come, will need lots and lots of rainwater to swell and grow so I can pick and eat it later this summer. It won't grow if it doesn't get regular, unpolluted water. We are all consumers of God's creation, which started when God put Adam and Eve in a garden that provided everything they needed to live: food, water, shelter, and space. Water is the most important resource on this earth. Most products require some volume of water to produce the product, some much more than others. We are washing our hands many times each day, probably more than ever before. Perhaps you sing "Jesus Loves Me" while washing. It is the right length of song for the amount of time you should have soap bubbles on your hands and between your fingers before rinsing. Soap and water wash the bad virus away. Whether you are a plant, a frog, a woodcock, a beaver, or a human being, everything needs clean, unpolluted water. This week we celebrated 50 years of people thinking about the earth and raising our conscious thoughts about how we use or reuse, preserve or protect the resources of the earth. As Christians, God gave us the task to be caretakers of the earth. We need to be mindful of that task, plant trees, plant gardens, manage woodlots, be conservative in our consumption of natural resources, and always very grateful each day for this wonderful planet. I'll close with prayer, some words from a traditional folk hymn written well over a century ago. I went down to the river to pray, studying about that good old way. Who shall wear the robe and crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Amen.